What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
It is.
Yes, it is. I'm good. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm JFJ.
What? Oh, just fucking Jeff.
Yep.
You're listening to the good,
the band,
the ugly, and that's all we got to say about that. Dude, holy fucking tongue-tied.
I know. It was weird.
What was all that about? Yeah, slide that shit out.
Okay.
How you doing, brother?
Good, man.
Weekend good?
Yes. Celebrated my mother's 80th birthday, so.
Did you get her a stripper?
No.
Floor stripper?
Yeah, right. Vacuum.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Kind of things that she gets excited about.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Oh, no, I like those little smiley face sponges.
Right.
They get cold when, or they get crusty when it's cold. Yeah,
it gets whatever.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ultimate Ears studio.
Yeah.
Where you can hear your own tears.
With Ultimate Ears.
I had a 3 days of riding, 375 miles total. But the second one was pretty cool. We did a ride for the Marine Corps.
Cool.
Raise money for Toys for Tots, and so we want to thank all the people at the Marine Reserve post over here in Mattydale, New York. Thank you for helping us out. They had their guys blocking the intersections, and usually that's done with a car.
Yes.
Or it's done with a bike.
Right.
Not these guys.
Nuh-uh.
Standing there in their fatigue, their fatigues or whatever, just saluting and telling cars to stop.
Even better.
Coming full bore at them, going, "Oh shit."
I like it.
Yeah, and then we rode by. So that was it was a good weekend. It was a good bunch of people we rode with, and so thank you to the Marines. Thank you to the Marine photographer Devin for taking all the photos. So, boy, we've got a good show today. I've been excited about this one because this gentleman has done everything. He's done it all. He's managed tours, production wise, tour manager wise. He's I mean, we'll let him tell his story.
Yeah.
He comes highly recommended, and I had the luxury of being able to meet him a couple months ago at the Ace Frehley show, and what a super guy. So let's, without further ado, bring in Nite Bob.
As opposed to Day Bob.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Very good.
What's up?
Mr. Nite Bob.
Yeah.
That's me, one word, Nitebob. The reason is I have an unpronounceable Polish last name.
Yes, and
also, it's true.
I know you do.
And it's also in the early days of the touring business, for my touring business, like in the early 70s, everybody had a nickname because then they couldn't get a warrant for your arrest. Serious, right?
Oh, okay.
You said, a judge would go, I can't fill out a warrant for Nite Bob. It needs to be Nite Bob, some other name.
Right.
So everybody had, I know a guy whose name is Dancer, I have a lighting guy who worked under Sparky, blah, blah, blah. It's like the hotel name thing.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh yeah. I said, can I have the hotel keys for Ben Dover? And of course they would type in Ben Dover, right?
Jeff's picture comes up.
These kind of things just keep you amused, because when you work with these bands for any amount of time, you kind of become you're in a bubble. You're removed from actual, day-to-day reality because you're flying around in planes, living on buses, doing big rock shows or not so big rock shows, living in hotels, where nobody cleans, where someone else cleans up for you, right? And when you come back after to your apartment, you just never clean up because where's the maid service? Call down.
What the hell's going on here? These dishes haven't left the sink all 3 days.
I know. It's like, oh my God, it's
a science experiment in the
I've
fridge.
smashed up some rooms. Yes, I have smashed up some rooms on tour. And
you did. Nite Bob
you could do it really. I broke a lamp and broke a door, right? And it cost me about $40. Right nowadays, if you were to do that, it would cost you like thousands of dollars,
right?
Because they get into this thing of that lamp, that's a $700 lamp, and that door was $10,000.
Yeah,
I sat in a $10,000 chair in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Actually,
did it feel better?
Still there. Yeah. It was it's across the street from that stadium. It was like the Cole Hotel. The guy who makes all the what you call it, your bathroom stuff. Right. He had a chair that was carved to look like you were sitting in the lap of a Black Panther.
Right.
Yeah.
The armrests were like had claws. This kind of shit. And I was like, oh, there's a nice chair. I'd like to have one at home. How much is that? They said, oh, they're $10,000 a piece. And I go, thanks.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
need.
going to slowly get up now.
Right. Yeah.
That's like, it's really nice. It's got a big scratch over there. Oh, okay.
So Bob, how long have you been doing this? Let's
over 52 years.
Okay. And what got you?
And I played in band, and I'm using that as a starting point of being like a professional, got paid for what I do. I spent like a bunch of years before that playing in bands.
Mm-hmm. What instrument do you play?
I'm a guitar player.
Okay. You still playing?
Oh yeah, I like to play. I don't play in bands anymore. Trying to get, bad enough, trying to get 4 people to agree on some kind of music to play together. It's hard to get 4 people in the same place to play together these days.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody, it depends on the city. I mean, I live in New York City, and it's pretty expensive to live here.
Right.
So and because of the way the real estate things have been going, there are very few places to rehearse. So you got to go out to like Brooklyn or Queens. And that right alone starts knocking. People go, sorry, I'm not going to Brooklyn or to the Bronx to rehearse.
Right.
Right. So you wind up playing for fun once a month. Play out, that's too much work.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
It's like, where am I going to play? I'm going to go play Bowery Electric. There's stairs. I want to bring my own amp. I'm like, this sucks. I got to hire someone to move my own amp. Right.
Yeah.
And all that kind of shit. Lazy? No, I think it's not so much lazy as that, like I said, I've been in this like 52 years of respect for my own body. The last thing I want to do is carry a fucking amp down the stairs. Not so bad. At the end of the night, carrying it up the stairs, fuck that.
I'll just sell it.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. You know who played on that amp here?
Then you wind up using like house stuff, and it's always broken.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it makes the whole thing. I rehearsed with these guys to play this, and my amp sounds like they found it on the curb. Way it goes.
Yeah.
So, but I play on a lot of records. I do some other kind of music that makes money. I do a lot of incidental music for TV and movies and stuff where they only want 8 to 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they go, let's get in the van and drive and see him, and you hear something that sounds like ZZ Top. Well, that's usually me.
Nice.
Right?
Oh, cool.
Especially if it's got no melody. If it's just some guitar chugging away over a drum.
Right.
I just make files for these, and I send them to these music consultants, right? And the way they do it, they have this idea, and they go through, and they go, that's what put that one aside, and they keep listening because they know, in the first 10 seconds, if it's right.
Right.
And you're just like, go, no, I like that, no. Then of course that's a collaborative art. So there's like 7 other people who have to say, I think we should use this. Oh no. We want something a little faster, or something like that.
Right.
And it'd be all and end all. It's mailbox money. I don't have to leave my house. I just do it at home. But I still go out. I try and work almost every weekend because there's a certain thing about live performance, right? That is very addictive, especially to me. The fact that you get like a bunch of people who are like-minded, like they're coming to see, say, Ace Frehley or Alejandro Escovedo, right? Or Ian Hunt, or Aerosmith or something, right? And there's an energy there, right?
Yeah.
That when people are gathered for a single purpose, right? And the fact too is that I feel like I'm helping people to forget about their troubles for an hour or two because music lifts you up.
Yeah.
Right. And it makes you, and can make you, for that 1 hour and a half, you feel like you did like in the, during lunchtime in high school or something, where that song meant so much to you or it got you through your teenage life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then 20 some odd years later, when you hear that song, you're magically transported back there, and you don't worry about your job, your girlfriend, your kids, your mortgage, your doctor bills, the bills in general. I mean, the costs of living in New York are fucking staggering these days.
Right.
And so it's like, but I feel like, you feel like you're doing a good thing, like helping people enjoy themselves,
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, and I guess maybe it's because I come from an art school background that I kind of think, it's just not a job. I think providing providing entertainment or relief in some ways, I think that's important, and don't get me started about the way that people have made attending these shows prohibitively expensive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No kidding.
And the fact that because of like, I mean, if you're 15 years old, how do you get to see a band?
You can't.
Know what I mean?
Years ago, the ticket prices were so low.
Ticket prices. You can't get in a bar.
Right.
If you could get a bar, it'd be $20 anyway. If you say, well, we'll go to a shed. Oh yeah, I'm going to go see Sammy Hagar, and tickets are only $300. Right. How does a 15-year-old kid go home and say, Dad, I need $300 to see Sammy Hagar? I'm just not picking on Sammy.
No.
He was a great, but I'm just saying that it's just, then what happens is people experience live music by looking at their frickin' phone.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing as being in the room. It's like porn versus real sex.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I cannot stand is watching you're at the show.
We're not talking porn now?
No, we're not.
Okay.
But you're at the show. Right. You're at the show and you're recording it on your phone. Stop.
Oh, well, that's like the kids nowadays. I don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be a show. How about you go to fireworks and you see...
Oh, yeah. Forget it.
They're dead with the phone. I'm like, experience it.
Yes.
Put the damn thing that my daughter's the worst. I love her to death, but
just experience the music and stay off your fucking phone. There, I said it.
What's the culture right now? Wow. The culture right now is not good for rock music.
No.
At all.
No, because of
well, just because they're the same thing. If you can't go and experience what it's like to be, even if you're not particularly fond of the band or that style of music, there is an energy in that room. When people are enjoying themselves.
Yep.
Right. And you can't do that, by watching it on a phone. Right. You don't experience that. And then people, they move on to other things.
How many times have you gone to a show because you were going with friends that love that artist and you were like on the fence? You're like, you know what?
You're tagging along.
Now all of a sudden you go and the energy, as you say, is going on. The music's playing. The artist is relating. He's making contact just by the energy. And you walk out of there going, you know what? I didn't think I liked country, but
I
that
do
was
now.
freaking great.
Yeah.
And now they did their job. If they get one person every 25, they just brought that. That's when the concerts make sense.
Yep.
I mean, like, yeah, sure. There's a whole monetary thing of success and all that, but I mean, like when I was working in the art world, like the whole thing was like you wanted to reach people.
Yep.
With your art, and I think that I think people want to, musicians especially, that there was a point in culturally where it was very easy to get a record deal for a lot of money, and you got a lot of people who were basically savants who could play guitar and they had the right look and they had nothing else going for them.
Right.
Right. So it became a career, and they usually were a short arc, ask all those ask the guys, all those metal guys from the late 80s. I'm not talking about the ones that made money, but how about those, for every Motley Crue, for every Guns N' Roses, there's a faster Pussycat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or YNT.
And so like the record companies would get onto that because like they'd be saying like, you know what? I wouldn't mind having 10% of that Guns N' Roses market.
Yeah.
Look at these guys. They look even weirder than Guns N' Roses. And they got a couple of tunes, sign them up. And they wind up, you know, and a lot of those guys right now, and I'm not saying those two bands that band I spoke of, I toured with Pastor Pussycat, and they still exist, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of the guys, it's a short arc, and after that, they never went on to anything else except saying they want fries with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's a very short career. It's even shorter now. You better be able to dance, you know.
Yeah. Right.
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 Because that's what people want, you know. It's like in my you know, the older guys who do this still, you know, it's like there's shows, right, and there's concerts,
Yes.
right. I do concerts. I've done shows, right, but shows are, you know, it's like they say like, what did you think? I go, it's Disney on Ice.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that response.
It is.
I like
It's like
that.
Disney on Ice.
I like that.
Great production, great
Yep.
lights, videos, all this kind of stuff, right? To distract you from the fact that the music is kind of boring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watered down. Yeah. Easy,
You know,
very
and
rudimentary.
it's sort of like, you know, and some of those, I mean, I'm not saying they're not talented, but that's what it takes nowadays to keep an audience engaged, because the attention span of people has been shortened by the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People have very short attention span. Used to be you couldn't wait to get your band's new, you know, your favorite band's new record. Now, if you hear their new song, that's good enough for you.
Yeah.
You know, so we're in a singles mentality.
Well, we had talked about that before. You had, if you wanted that one song that you saw on MTV, you had to buy the entire album.
Right.
Oh,
You know,
Right.
you couldn't just grab the single off the internet.
No, but
you can now.
Well, you can now.
Right, but back then you'd have to even stay tuned to the radio,
Yes.
which exactly was what, you know.
Yeah.
And you hoped that the DJ didn't bang the post on that one, and he talks
Exactly.
right through the intro, and you're
Yep.
going, just fucked up my recording, that prick. You know,
Yep.
how am I going to learn that solo?
Right.
Hey, look, this is like the early fandom thing. You know, it's like I recorded the Beatles on Ed Sullivan with this tape recorder that I got for Christmas, like the Christmas before.
Yeah,
And
right.
To me, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a big deal. Like I captured this live performance of the Beatles. Right, I only did that a couple of times because then it goes, "What are you gonna do? Drag around a 1/4 inch, you know,
Reel to reel.
Reel to reel.
Right, you know, it's like no, but that, you know, it makes it tough. That's why, and it's, you know, the other thing too, it's so segmented now. I mean, it used to be, and it still is in Europe. I tell every new band, I go like, the USA will follow what happens in Europe.
Yep.
Right. In Europe, you have they go, there's only two kinds of music. There's good music and bad music. Right. They don't get into this divisive thing that we got going here, you know, where I only listen to Disturbed.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
bands like Disturbed, right? Or I'm only listening to, I don't know, whatever, whoever's kind of popular with the younger set these days, you know, because you're missing out, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember I used to, also comes back to the fact that concerts cost too much.
Yeah.
Because like, I remember if I wanted to see the Jeff Beck group, I usually had to sit through two other bands,
Yep.
right, at the Fillmore East, $5. Right. And then sometimes you go like, hey, that band Bloodwind Pig was pretty cool.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
I want to go get that record. I'll spend $3 on that record.
Who-
You know, it's like,
Was it Chris So that
It's
was
the
telling us
culture.
the same thing?
Yeah.
Chris So was
Yeah.
saying his parents used to drop him off for $5,
Yep.
and he would see some of the most incredible matinee shows right down there, you know?
guilty is charged.
Yeah.
Guilty is the same thing. My first real concert that I went to by myself was the Rolling Stones playing in Symphony Hall in Newark, New Jersey, right? Where I took a bus down to, you know, and the Symphony Hall was right next to like City Hall,
Mm-hmm.
right? Bought a ticket for $5. Woo! Right? And there were 3 or 4, like there was the band that won the Battle of the Bands. Then there were like 3 acts they were touring with. I think at the time was this band from Boston called the Rocker Ramrods, Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, and some other kind of Motown band whose name I don't. All I remember about them is I'd never seen human beings do splits before like that and sing and dance. I was like, wow, look at that, you know. And then the Stones come on, everything goes haywire, right? I had such a good time. After that, that also was a matinee show. It started at 1:00 and was over by 2:30. Right, I walked out of there, walked right to the box office and bought another ticket
just to watch it again.
Just to watch it again.
Yeah, I wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really great. I want to do, you know, it's like you go on a ride you really like,
yeah,
and then you want to see
right.
it, you know, you see a movie and you go, that was really good. I want to watch it again and see whether that really was like, you know, Godzilla, you know,
yeah.
You know, peaking the oxygen destroyer or whatever, you know.
So have you worked with the Stones in the past?
I did some outside. I don't tour with the Stones. I've done some work, some things for Keith Richards because I know people who are involved, you know, and occasionally someone comes up and go like, hey, listen, you know, Pierre's out in LA working on a TV show. Could you come up to Power Station and do a session with Keith Richards as a guitar tech? I'm like, I'm there, you know, no problem. It's not a lot of money. I don't care. It's a Keith Richards gig. I'll know.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going to ask you. When the first time that happened, did you tell Keith about that they were the first band that you saw for $5 at a matinee?
I told him that later. I told him that, you know, later on in a conversation where he said, he says, like, I can get you a really good deal on front row tickets. I go, what's a really good deal? He goes, $400. And then the funny thing was, well, yeah, for a front row ticket for a Stone show, $400.
Right.
I actually thought about it for a second. Then I went, hey, you know what? I go, like, look, I'm sitting next to you right now. Right.
Right.
I go, the first show I ever went to was you playing in North New Jersey, like 1965, 66, or something like that. And I go, I spent $10. I saw both the early and the late show. And I go, like, that had a super impact. I'm you know, an impact on me. And I go, I'm not saying you don't have an impact now, but it's sort of like, first of all, when you sit in the first row, you're looking up people's noses, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to, it doesn't, you know, I don't need to be close to the band it's about music to me, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, I'd rather sit out front of house with Dave and go like, man, this sounds pretty good, you know, and thanks. It's great to be here, you know?
Right. I'll tell you, that's how, when we were talking at the Aces show, I mean, watching him do his shit was just as entertaining as watching Ace, because I was like, this guy's, like I said earlier before we started rolling.
Yeah.
It's like, it just comes so natural to mix the band and do the, you know.
I've done it a lot.
I know, but Bob, it was just so cool. Like, you know, we're musicians and we've been through our trials and tribulations of the longest sound check type thing, you know. And he's sound checking drums. First time, doom, okay, good. Second time, I'm like, he didn't even have him hit it twice. He's like, yep, nope, I know it. Yep, there it is. It was like, holy shit, man.
Let me tell you, you want an insight on that? Let me tell you, all I do during sound check is make sure that the lines are clean, because the tragic mistake that so many people make, and all you engineers listening out there, if there are any, or if you're in a band or something, I go, you know, I even have to stop myself from trying to make it sound right.
Yep.
Right. I just want to make sure that the mics, you know, everything's good. The lines are clean. Nothing's humming, buzzing, all that. That's why it's boom. Yeah, that works. Boom. Yeah, no problem. Boom. Because as soon as those people come in, the room changes.
Yep.
Right. And then you spend the first song undoing everything that you've done in the afternoon.
Right.
Plus, it burns out the musicians.
Yeah.
You're sitting there going, kill drum. Boom, 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 boom. No, I need some more. Boom, boom, boom. You know, they would much rather be in catering, eating something, or, you know, it's just like the same way. I mean, it becomes very, you know, it's Groundhog Day. It's the same day over and over and over again.
Right.
You go, you sound check. Sounds great. Okay. Because then, you know, when the people come in, you're going to have to, you know, the environment changes. You change because there's There's a thing that happens with bands where as soon as there's an audience in front of them, the adrenaline goes up. And then anything you did, you're going, oh, that's a whole lot different than, what's the point? So you sit there and make sure it's straight, and then you let them sort their monitors out, which is more important to the performance, right? And changes, let's say, a lot less.
Right.
The environment doesn't have that much of an impact on it.
Yeah, as soon as the crowd gets there, that's usually when the bass player just thinks his bass is never loud enough and always has to turn it up. It's
every bass player thinks his bass is not loud enough.
Dude,
every one of them.
And I love every sound guy, Pauly Shrieg.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, that's fucking way too loud. Pauly goes, really? And he hits the button. He goes, I just turned off the front end.
Right.
That's all them. I'm
Yes.
like, oh no shit. He's like, yeah, I have no control over these idiots now.
I've done stuff like hey, you know what? Let's just check something out. While they're playing, go over there and put that SVT on standby and see if he notices.
Right?
The thing is, they have some bass guitar coming through the side fills, so the rest of the band can hear it. You can hear it banging around out front, and all of a sudden, they're like, some of them will just keep going because they're in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're performing, or they're if it's difficult music, they're concentrating on executing some stuff, and all of a sudden they don't know it's been turned off. It's like, I turned your amp off about 3 songs in. I'm like, okay, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
So like, whatever.
Yeah, you've been DI this whole time.
Yeah.
It's a psychological thing. It's like warfare out there. Doing monitors is like hand-to-hand combat with a band. A lot of engineers like doing it better because you only have to satisfy 5 people, where in my case, I'm having to satisfy anywhere from 5,000 to 100,000. I've done gigs there. I did Kiss to like 100,000 people, right? I was like, oh, I thought I successfully avoided Kiss for most of my career, right? Then I had a tour with a very famous guy get postponed. I'm like, great. It's like the end of June. I have no work, right? And I bump into Gene Simmons, right? And he go, because I had done Nugent opening for Kiss, right?
Yeah,
and all the reviews would say Nugent blows away Kiss, right? And he would get these reviews. He'd have them printed up, and he'd put them all throughout the next venue. Anywhere you went, you could see this review, right? They get all mad. So Simmons says to me, he goes, we realized on that tour where you were dealing with Ted that you are the secret weapon. I went, oh, I'm the secret weapon. And he goes, like, that's why he was getting those reviews. It's because of you. And I'll go, okay. He goes, we need you to do this Monsters of Rock tour in Europe. We're sandwiched in between David Lee Roth and Iron Maiden. And I looked at him, I go, you're fucked. Yeah, think about it. Iron Maiden is always in Europe unbeatable, right? David Lee Roth. And that band, when you had like Vi and Billy Sheehan, that band, that was that was pretty hard shit to follow,
Right.
But they were going like, whoa, yeah, and I was like going, oh, I really don't want to do this. But then they go, blah 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 blah. I wound up doing it. I had a good time. I have a lot more. See, I did like Kiss's first, press thing at the Fillmore East. I didn't even remember it till Michael Frondelli, who's a famous producer engineer who was there with me. I gave him his first job in the music business, riding an elevator, and he goes on to become like he was managing Capitol Studios. And I was like, oh, look at you. Shit floats to the top. Woo-hoo. Right? He told me, he goes, don't you remember we had to bring all that stuff into the Fillmore East? And we were both laughing at the band, saying like, this band thinks it's Halloween every day. Look at me now. I'm in a fancy hotel having dinner with Gene Simmons in Milan. It's like, all right, whatever, but you never know. Sometimes you never know, man. You never know where you're going to wind up.
Yeah. And when he said and Kiss said blah blah blah, and then I did it. Blah 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 was probably the dollars.
Yes.
Yeah, he can't. That was
right.
that was an audio.
He just said it was the dollars.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that was the audio
Whoa.
pixelation right there. Blah 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 is pixelated.
It's like you go like this. You go, I don't know, man. It's sort of like I got nothing going on. And it's
Play
like,
hard to get.
And I was like, well, a little bit. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I was going that like I was kind of going. I told them that the artist that had just dropped out. I told them, well, I'm doing this thing, and I can't get out of it. And they went, how much are they paying you? I said, this is what they're paying me. And he went, oh. I figured I was done.
Right.
That was my exit clause. But the next day, Stanley called me up, and I was on my way to kiss them. And I can't complain. I really can't. I mean, they all of those 70s bands, man, they worked really hard.
Yeah.
Aerosmith worked hard, right? Nugent worked hard. Kiss worked hard. I mean, it's not an easy life.
Right.
And like, it's not good money until it's break wide open. I don't see how bands can get from like a starting point to like this arena thing. I mean, think about how many new headliners. I mean, Greta Van Fleet. They just Royal Albert Hall. They're playing Madison Square Garden here.
Right.
But that's not the first time that's happened. I was walking up 8th Avenue, right, and I looked at Madison Square Garden, and it said tonight, The Strokes, and I went, The Strokes, right? I was like,
right.
They used to open up. They used to play at Don Hill's around the corner from my house, right? We were like 300 cap club, and we had Haitian security guards who were the greatest guys, but they, if you're a little skinny white guy from Brooklyn, you are really afraid of these guys, right? And I was just going to throw them out, throw these guys out, and throw their gear. I threw their drums out the side door. Like, get out of here, you idiots. Now look, I'm going to be working for them, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes you can't, the people's tastes change.
Yeah.
I tried working for younger bands. I really did, but there's too much heartbreak there for me.
Yeah.
This is going to turn out poorly. It always does.
Well, everybody has some form of compassion and has a soul, and you've seen the good in the band, or the good and the bad. Sorry, I get so used to it.
Right, I know.
But you've seen the good and the bad.
Bands. I see really good. I saw plenty of really good young bands get crushed by record labels.
Yeah,
who wanted to make them into something they're not.
Right.
I mean, there was some young kids who were signed to Warner Brothers not too long, about 10 years ago, right? And they said, I come back from Steely Dan, and they said, we're signed to Warner Brothers. I went, how'd that happen? They go, oh, our mom got a really good attorney from LA. And
oh my God.
Warner Brothers, right? And I was like, you guys are like 16 years old. You're going to have to get a waiver from a judge just to sign your deal, right? But the triplets, right? They're called The Indecent, right? They had great stuff. They're really great. They're kind of like, imagine Grace Slick singing in Nirvana.
Oh, no shit.
Oh, all right.
It's really good. Find some stuff online. They made their own videos, right? Because they're super talented, and their friends are talented. They made some really interesting videos. Go check them out. The Indecent. It's still up. I know the stuff's still up, right? So they say to me, they go, do you have any advice? And I said, stand up for your music. Don't let them make you into something you can't live with.
Right.
So needless to say, they wound up as being dropped from Warner Brothers because they were uncooperative to the producer, who was also the chairman of the board at Warner Brothers.
So you fucked them, Bob.
They had a meeting afterwards, and and the kids say to me, they go, it was the triplets, 3 of them, right? And I go, what's your next step? And they go, well, we found the whole music business thing to be kind of unpleasant, and we don't think we're going to pursue that. Right. I was like, these kids are like 18 years old, and they're going like, nah,
not for me.
Right.
One's a headhunter for for a big IT corporation. Another one's in politics, and one of them is like an award-winning pottery artist.
Oh my God.
But you know what?
Talk about opposite ends of the spectrum.
God bless their parents for helping them.
Still some kind of art thing. You know what I mean? It was like, they started playing when they were 13.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, say this, that when you have bands that have like connected by blood, right? 3 kids, they make very different, you know, there's an unspoken communication. I mean, look at like Battling Brothers, like 2 brothers in Oasis, right? 2 brothers in the Kinks, 2 brothers in the Black Crowes.
I was going there with the Black Crowes, right?
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They battle. They all battle.
Well, they're not battling anymore. They're all tired of it, you know?
Yeah, right?
I tell you to fuck off, but I'm too tired.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I have 4 kids, you know, we got to put this battling shit aside.
Yeah, right?
And plus, you know, I mean, what are records for in a singles mentality?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The whole thing of writing a full album, I think it's like a early, like late 50s, early 60s thing. You have a key song, and then, you know, that was your big song. And then what, are you making EPs now?
Right.
You know, do people buy full-length records? Well, obviously they buy Taylor Swift records. I buy Taylor Swift records.
Right.
You know, 'cause I think it's very interesting, you know, and I think it's an interesting reach.
Yeah.
You know, that she has this connection with the, you know, with stadiums amount of women of all ages.
Right.
I think that's futuristic. You
Yeah.
know? I myself, I like the fact that there are more women in the touring industry, because it changes the dynamic. It's not like the pirate ship. It's very professional now. You know, if you've got women on your bus, you can't act like, you got to, you know, make sure you don't have socks laying around or they'll throw them out. You know,
Right.
You know, that it's like, we ain't clean it up. We'll just throw your shit out. You know, you didn't put it in the fridge. I threw it in the garbage. Too bad for you. Fuck off. You know, it's like, wow, mom's up. Bus mom, look out. Then I'm not doing buses anymore, but I've seen it happen.
Right.
You don't know any really strong, powerful women in the touring industry, do you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah.
And one of them is,
Yeah.
she's very strong and very powerful.
Yes.
No, she's really great. One of my goals in life is to do a tour with her. Right. We've been on the same tours, but I mean, like, where she would say, "Go to your room," you know, or something. You know, you know, you're painting in that, go away. You know,
Right.
You know, and like, I talked to her the day before yesterday. She was going to the Nationals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, yeah. You know, it's like, all right, what are you looking for? Full fendered or not? And she sent me a picture of a 34 Ford full fendered. And I was like,
yes.
That's a nice car.
That was.
Especially where you live up in Syracuse. Hope it's got good Imron paint that'll last.
Yeah, no shit.
Through a winter up there, you better keep it in. Well, she has a spacious place she's working on.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I mean, I worked with some. She's really good, man. I met her. Either she was doing. Mary Jo was either doing. I met her at a Pro Sound News thing around 1990, and then I went to see Metallica in the LA Forum, and she was there with Korn. And after that, I saw her with Slayer. I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. Like those hard bands, eh? You know. And then like, and I went to see her with Ghost and Gaga and all that kind of stuff. You know, she's really. I'm gonna make that happen before I completely move to a house on a lake somewhere and just just make film music. Or man, I got so much content. I could spend the next 10 years, you know, like that like the whole Aerosmith thing, kind of got me mad. And I was going, I should just get all this footage, you know, converted, and then I know a bunch of good editors. I go put together a reel and then go shop it to like Amazon Prime or something like that.
Yeah.
And the way I get around approval is I don't have any of their music in. And like that, I'd say they'd be great. This is like my home movies. Please note there is no Aerosmith music in this at all. Or I would get like I'd put together a crappy band and play crappy versions of their songs. Because we had a
There's hope for
band.
us yet.
Yep.
There's hope for everybody. I'm telling you. And because Aerosmith had a crew. I convinced Aerosmith not to do sound checks, and I convinced a lot of bands not to do sound checks. If you're on a tour and you're carrying the same monitor guy, all this kind of stuff, I go, because it's asking a band to come down at 3:00 in the afternoon, right, and tell you things that are wrong. Right.
Right.
It's opening you up to just like a nightmare. Aerosmith was a perfect, there's like all the fighting, all your vibe would go out the window. You're like, oh, this guy, I could kill him. Right. And then like there's be like subtle torture. I think your audience might like this. Right. So I had an abrasive relationship with Steven Tyler since the first day I met him, which would be, I don't know, 74 or something like that. And my first tour with Aerosmith, I was forced to do it by the company I was working on. I didn't want anything to do with them. I thought they were no good, right? But I went out and did it because I was young. I was 23 or 23, 24. I was getting it was like diminishing returns. At my first arena tour, and my first real tour actually was Emerson Lake Palmer for 3.5 months, culminating at California Jam, right?
Oh, wow.
And then I went from that to the New York Dolls, right? And my ELP friends, they said, we can't believe your career has plummeted. Like this. You went from college to this kiddie band to New York Dolls, right? And my response was like, but I don't have to move any gear. I travel with the band and all I do is mix. And they went, you don't have to move gear. I went, no, I travel with the band and all I do is mix. They were like, wow, you should be doing Aerosmith. And I was like, oh, fuck them. I didn't think David Krebs sent me to see them like early on, like around the first album time. And he said, what do you think? And I go, the guy on stage right that looks like plays like Mick Taylor, kind of looks like him too. He's really good. The rest of them suck. But then they got better. Like I was forced to go. I quit the first day, right? And told them to go fuck themselves. And that enraged Tyler. Fuck him. He goes, wait a minute. This guy's telling me to fuck off. He must be good. Backfired on me, right? I was like, fuck. And I quit doing a tour, and he pushed all the monitors off the front of the stage on top of some security guards. I was in Philadelphia. I was like, fuck this. I don't need this. So I went right to the 30th Street train station and went home. And the next show, they go, where's Bob? Bob went home. Here we go again. Of course, there was also, to come back, there was like, say, like a financial enticement to come back. Right?
Another blah, blah, blah.
You're right.
Yeah, they gave him blah, blah, blah.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'll tell you another. Bob gets fired. Bob gets fired by Limp Bizkit, right? After the second song, right?
No
Fred
great
Durst
loss.
says, what?
I said no great loss, but go ahead.
This is first record. When
okay.
They're destroying that song Faith, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And we were out on this Family Values tour, right? And he got upset because he wanted to do his own delays, right? And I told him that, like, you will not be able, I go, you can barely do this in the dressing room. I doubt if you'll be able to do this in front of 20,000 people. And then at the end of the song, when he completely fucked up with his delays, right? He said, make this show sound good because it's going to be your last show. And I'm like, thanks, And I'm like, I wonder if I could eat now. And I go, I kind of got this professional thing. And also in the back of my mind was the fact that during that show, he would come out to front of house and he'd walk on top of my console. And I was going like, I hope he comes out and walks in that console because I'm going to grab him by the ankles and just drop him. Right. But he came out to the front house and going, come on, get on the console. He told me, I was like, pussy. What are you gonna do?
Right.
I don't know. It's like that was the first time I began to really realize how far the audience was going from like I was going like, these kids, I don't know what this music, these kids, I don't know. You know, I begin to sound like my father. I don't get what this is supposed to be.
Right.
You know, it's like, I don't go back to more traditional hard rock. But I lasted to the end, you know. And, wait. The thing was, he told me once, he said, listen, engineers are nothing. A monkey could mix this show. Right. And after, and like that, when he called me and says, you got to come back. Our next show is LA. And I go, hey, you told me a monkey could mix this show. There's plenty of monkeys in LA.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
It's a center. You can hire a monkey that can eat a banana and mix your show. Needless to say, his managers called up and they convinced me that I should come back. So I went back.
More blah,
Let's
blah.
talk about torturing the lead singers, especially. Like I said, I had an abrasive relationship with Steven Tyler. Right. It's since become, we talk, we text, you know, we travel a long way. I'll go see him. I like him, you know, it's like, but there was a time where it was all out warfare. Right. And, we would do things like, I took his microphone and I put essence of banana inside the windscreen. He's doing this thing. He's all energized. He's doing this thing. At one point, to get to like a slow song, and he goes, "Sit there," and he goes, "My fucking microphone smells like a banana." Meanwhile, the rest of we're doomed. And of course, you know, then the thing is, let's give him another microphone, right? And just like we gave him another microphone, and he was happy, and off he went, and there was no discussion, right? You would have, in the 70s especially, as soon as the show was over, you would have to go in the dressing room and get yelled at by him. Right? Usually the lighting guy, the monitor guy, and me would go in there and he'd yell about things that he thought were wrong or blah, blah, blah. And we'd just sit there and go, just wait. You know, just wait till tomorrow.
You think this is wrong now?
Yeah. Like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, your delays. Yeah. The color yellow is not good for you. Green makes you look like a corpse. That kind of stuff.
Green is never good for anybody.
No, it isn't.
Green is the worst color for stage.
You look like the crypt keeper,
right?
Like,
even Alice Cooper can't pull off green, and he wants to look dead.
I know.
No.
That's so funny. Have you?
But, it is what it is. You know.
Who is there? Is there an artist that you haven't worked with that you want? That someday you're like, God, just want to work with somebody.
I used to see, that's a very common question, right? And usually the first thing I'd say, my rote response would be Guns N' Roses, Cheap Trick, Blondie. And they go, Guns N' Roses. And I go, every engineer I know has mixed Guns N' Roses except me.
Oh, okay.
I feel left out.
Especially feeling left out?
Well, he's really difficult. I go, everybody I work for is difficult. You know, I go, I would just want to go do a show, get fired, and then I don't have to fucking talk about it anymore. Right? It's just off the list. I go, I mixed the show, got fired 3 songs in. You know, I got in my car and split. You know, end of story. You know,
call Pete.
Done.
Right.
Off the list.
Call Merluzzi.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Cheap Trick.
Okay.
I love Cheap Trick.
Right.
They tried to hire me twice, but there was always some calamity that ended it, right? They hired me. This was like 96, right? And we're going to go do a tour of Europe, especially of the UK, especially. And friends of mine, the Wild Hearts, were the opening band. I go, I could retire after this. Record company goes out of business. There goes the tour support to go to Europe. The tour didn't happen. Right. So then the opportunity never really. This becomes like a comment every time I see them. They go, "Are we still on that list of bands I want? You want to mix?" I go, "Well, kind of. It's kind of. You've gone down a couple of notches." And they go, "Why is that?" And I said, "Because I mixed Robin Zander solo, right? And I mean, so that kind of like that's 1/3 of your band now, and that's kind of like you do the gig with the singer. It's like sounds pretty, all right."
Right.
He's singing some of the same songs, and he's actually singing some other covers that were really good. Blondie, because they were, I played in rival bands with high school with Clem Burke.
Okay.
Right? And so And then when our careers run a similar path in the 70s, but maybe mine started a little earlier, but it was, so they're like hometown, kind of like the Dolls were, they're kind of like your local band makes good, and I actually mixed a CBS Sunday Morning for them, right? Because their engineer was having some kind of surgery. Their usual guy was having some kind of surgery, and I came in and mixed them live to 2-track at SIR Studios. And that kind of, same way. So like I wouldn't mind going out and mixing some shows with them, but now, the original band is it's Debbie and Clem show, really.
Right.
Because, which is sad. I do recommend Chris Stein's latest book. It's really good. I have it on Audible. Audible is like the savior of touring, right? Because you can I have like 25 books on my phone.
Right.
So you get on, they're killing 3 hours in the airport. And then all these books are like, to read one's book is like 12, 13 hours. So you got tons of stuff.
Yeah.
So I get these books and I just sit there with headphones on. The other Steve Van Zandt's book's really good. In fact, Steve Van Zandt's book and Chris Stein's latest book, they talk about the same time period in New York and New Jersey, right? And it resonates with me because that was my, same time. Like I was going, God, I thought I was the only one doing this, right? And it's sort of like he did it, Steve did it, Chris did it. There had to, you think that you're the only one who figured it out,
right?
But other people did, So books on tour are a savior for me, and I still am. If I have the time on a day off, I love to go see. I've been to every fucking museum on the planet. I started going to art museums and galleries and, seeing stuff like this, because who wants to sit in your hotel room and watch TV? You can do that at home. I'd rather go see the museum in Milwaukee that has these big wings that extend over the lake. I was like, mechanical, right? And it was like, that's the kind of thing like Buffalo. You want to go see the falls. I've seen the falls 1,000 times, it seems like, but somebody always wants to go, you always got to go because it looks way better from the Canadian side.
Right. Yes.
And it's like food's the new drug nowadays, right? Everybody is like, a food expert. This is another internet cable TV thing, like where chefs became like the new DJs, right?
Yeah.
And everybody wants to see Bobby Flay fail, or whatever, and he always beats him because he's really good at what he does,
right.
And but what does in like I'd say the older demographic of touring personnel, drugs are like a statin or blood pressure control or
right,
things to keep you going,
right? Yep.
I had someone say to me, he goes like, I need to get some cocaine. And in New York City, I go, I wouldn't know who to call. I really wouldn't, like now the pot thing's easy.
Yeah.
There's pot stores everywhere,
If you need metformin, I could get you metformin and,
yeah.
So, my usual answer is, why would you want to do that?
Right.
Why don't you just get some strong coffee? It costs a lot less money,
right?
And to be honest, nowadays there's this fentanyl problem because I know a couple of guys a couple of DJs especially. He goes, I was over at Beauty Bar, paying the rent. Someone said, you want a bump? And I said, yeah. And I took the bump. And next thing I know, they're beating on me in the emergency room.
Oh, jeez.
Right.
I said, what are you going to do? Carry around a fentanyl test kit?
Right.
I'm like going like, wise up, find something, if you need, it's a gamble. Why don't you play Russian roulette?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You got a cell phone in one pocket and a Narcan pen in the other. Yeah. No, thanks.
No, look out when you're in the clubs, be careful what you take from people you don't know.
Right.
It's serious. It's serious. I'm making a little light about it, but it's a serious problem, where, I had my time, partying out with stuff, but then you should outgrow it,
Right.
when you become, when you become, at peace with yourself. I mean, you're doing what you want to do, and like you're you're enjoying it, right? Why would you want to play Russian roulette? Because there's so much money in big touring now. Nobody wants anybody who has any kind of drug thing.
Right. Right. Well, the liability of it alone.
You don't want to. You're in. Like some of these shows make millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want the fucking lighting guy passing out or having to go to the hospital. I mean, I've known people. Like the older guys. I had a guy who collapsed during a rehearsal and had to go in, have a stent put in. Right, he was back on tour 48 hours later, having to change. He says, I had to stop smoking, and I had to change, my lifestyle. Like no more cigarettes. I had to eat better, blah blah blah, because I want to live.
Right.
It's terrible out there.
Do you find new people coming into the industry eager to learn, or is it just the same guys year after year after year? Or, is there an insurgence of younger people there?
Oh, there's plenty of younger people are coming in because these schools are cranking them out. So you're cranking out these kids who the parents are pay all this money for them to go to these schools, and they learn all this stuff, right? But that's like learning all this stuff and not, being a doctor and wanting to be a surgeon and learning everything from YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
They don't have any. You have to have the experience of knowing. You may think how to EQ a PA, by looking at the screens and all that, but what happens when things go awry, and things do go awry,
Mm-hmm.
and when if you have a lot of experience, the first thing you go is like, do not panic.
Right.
Right. You will sort it out, because if the PA goes out, there's 20,000 people, and you figure all of their eyes and all that energy is aimed at you, that
Right.
you're fucking up their party, right? So you don't want that to happen. So you tend to want to avoid that as much as possible. But I mean, they're kids, these young guys. You need to have the experience. They don't come up through the ranks. It isn't like they worked with a band down the street and we're going to rent a van and we're going to go to Cleveland to play, some club opening up from some band. Right? It's a big deal,
Right.
But that's how you get that experience. That's how, like touring with them. See, I went right from rehearsals to Emerson Lake Palmer, right? And in the rehearsal place that I worked, I had all these bands. I had the Mahavishnu Orchestra. I had Humble Pie. I had the New York Dolls, right? I had, and you're in a room with them, making sure that everything's good, and you get to. It's as a musician, within 2 weeks, I thought I was hot shit, and after 2 weeks, I was like, man, I gotta work harder at this shit. The water's way deeper than You think you're
Right.
good? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like you think you're not as good as Peter Frampton. You're not as good as John McLaughlin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You as a guitar player, it was like mind blowing. But then I wound up fixing John McLaughlin's guitar. I went from being, the guy at the rehearsal studio to a guitar repair guy. It opened an entire different field for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I do it, and like, because I learned early on, multiple revenue streams. I know that sounds like an accounting thing,
Yeah.
right?
No.
But
Right.
the touring industry is incredibly seasonal, right? It's like the first quarter, January, February, March. Very little good touring goes out there
Mm-hmm.
because everybody spent all their money at Christmas. The weather's bad, right? There's a chance that like nobody will come out and see you play.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, there were 7 inches of snow here in Minnesota. I don't think I want to go out to First Avenue and see this band from wherever.
Right.
So you have to, I tell guys this, I go, this is not, this is a very narrow career. And this is very much a business built on personal relationships, right? So you can't be a dick. If you're a dick, people won't hire you.
We end every show
Really
with that phrase.
successful, then you can become a dick. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Then, you know, I mean, you know, like no one's getting, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
some of the most successful engineers I know are so open and sharing to share their knowledge. Robert Scoville, right? You know, Pat Boothright, all these guys, you know, he does, come on. His main clients are AC/DC and Paul McCartney. Right. And you can sit there and he'll tell you everything that you know, any question. Same thing with Robert Scoville, right? All those years with Rush, Tom Petty. Now he's out doing, I don't even know who he's doing. I don't know. Some big country guy. I don't know. Was it Kenny Chesney? I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, that little guy.
Is it? I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone to see a show because I've been busy doing other things. Stadium shows are not my, you know, I'm not into that. You know, it's too much walking. I had both my knees replaced last year, right? And so it's all like, oh yeah, you know, someone said, hey, you want to mix so and so, you know, at you know, the Metallic Stadium show? I was like, nah, too much walking. I think I'll just see it.
Well, that actually brings me to a question, Bob. What is your favorite place to mix? Is it in a theater, or is it, you know, or is a stadium the worst? You know what I mean?
Well, they're all different. You know, I like theaters.
Okay.
Right, because I think it's manageable, right?
Yeah.
And it's a better experience for the people who buy tickets, because it usually sounds pretty good everywhere, right? When you get into the stadium thing, you're painting in broad strokes, right? My friend Dave, he mixes the Rolling Stones, and he mixes in mono.
Okay.
Because the field is so wide that if you're like a Ron Wood fan and you're on Keith Richards' side, you're running the stereo thing, you don't hear very much of Ron Wood. And I'd be pissed if I paid all that money and I couldn't hear Ron Wood. So you mix in mono. So the mix is kind of the same everywhere. I like club shows. There's an energy there that you can't get anywhere else. It's like you're in the trenches, right? It's band versus audience. Bang, 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 bang.
Yep.
You know? I enjoy that. I enjoy, you know, I like theaters. I like big, you know, I just did this, you know, this thing of all these, it was like an 80s rock thing. It was Vixen, Steven Adler, Slaughter, what's it called? Great White, and Ace Frehley, right? On a nice outdoor stage with a great PA and a great staff on a lake, right? And it was like, it was interesting to, you know, to hear those bands, mainly because I was usually, you know, that 80s thing, I was out working, I was out doing Aerosmith and Kiss and shit like that. I mean, didn't see a lot of those bands. And, you know, Slaughter was way better than I would have expected. And so was Great White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've had
a world where those kind of bands, like, you know, come on, there's a Foreigner with no original members right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've had Tyson from Vixen on, and then Lorraine's going to be on, but she's not with Vixen anymore. But yeah, she's going to be on the show as well. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see some of the legacy bands that.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Have you done
you know, the thing, the kind of music that you and I like or grew up with is very niche market now.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, like I didn't think I would, but I really like the cruises.
I was just going to ask if you'd done a cruise.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. I did a Kiss cruise. I did Monsters of Rock. Right. Kiss was interesting, I must say. Right. And the Monsters of Rock thing was really good because I got to see all these bands that were, you know, and got to be disappointed by bands I didn't think I'd be disappointed with.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I saw Glenn Hughes doing like his Deep Purple thing. Amazing band. He's still an amazing singer. Right. I recommend anybody who's a hard rock guy, if he's playing nearby, go pay whatever it costs and go see him. He's got a great band. He's a great singer. He's got a great legacy of songs. Right. On the other hand, you know, Joe Satriani, I lasted less than a song. I was like,
really?
Yeah. It just wasn't doing it for me. You know, it seemed like, you know, here, you know, it's just, I don't know.
Going through the motions.
It just was, I can't say that, you know, because it doesn't, he's that kind of guy. His stage presence you can't tell whether he's going through the motions or not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I questioned myself thinking that like, well, you know, I stopped buying his records and maybe this is what he's into now, but it's not what I'm into. I got to go. You know,
Yeah.
I want to go and see. I went and saw The Darkness, right? Who were also very disappointing. So it's just, I wanted to make the singer into shark bait. It was like, what a jerk. Go back to England. You know? Okay, you know, it's like, I did get to see KK Downing's KK Priest band.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I thought was, you know, he leaves the band, he wants to come back, and they say no.
Right.
So
And he said, screw you, I'm still going to play this.
Exactly. I was like, nah.
Your fucking songs. I'm going to use the singer that you used to replace, you know, Rob Halford. And
Right.
They were really
Yeah, Ripper,
good,
right?
You know?
Yeah, Tim Ripper Owens.
Should I say that they, you know, I mean, like even you know, Judas Priest. It's like, what, you got the original singer and bass player.
Yes.
Everybody else is good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
2
because
steps above Farland. You know, God bless them, man. They should have, you know, they all did, you know, they deserve, you know, people deserve to hear it.
Right.
Those songs.
I'm
You know,
a
you're breaking
believer.
the law, and you're going like, I feel like I'm 14.
Yeah.
You know,
But I'm a believer that the music that stays with the bands, whether or not it's all the same art, the original artists or not. Perfect example, and I know this has been like a taboo thing to talk about lately, but the Guess Who? I mean, that whole thing they went through and all the shit they've been through, those guys, they had a new album that came out. That album was incredible.
it was.
Mike Sterto, the guitar player that was new to the band,
Yep.
did a fantastic job. He's a guest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the shit they went through was wrong. You know, so you don't have to.
I have a different feeling about it.
Yeah.
Right. And this I'm interested how that played out. Right. Because like I think it was like was it like the keyboard player or someone, he had the rights to
Drummer.
the name?
The drummer.
The drummer does.
Yep.
Yeah.
The rights to the name. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's basically the drummer and a bunch of new guys. Right.
Right.
Thing I found interesting about it, that Burton Cummings could shut them down because the way the publishing thing works out.
Yeah, he pulled the
Yeah.
license agreements through ASCAP and BMI, and he was the one that had to give permission.
Yep.
And at that point,
Now, what would happen? Now, here's an interesting thing that's going on that we probably should have talked about earlier, is that when I go out, I'm always asking promoters and venue owners, I go, who fills the seats more than anybody else, right? And they all say the same thing: tribute bands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I did 60 shows with a Queen tribute band called Almost Queen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they did every place we played was sold out.
They just
Right.
played here.
I said they were just here not long ago.
Yeah, they're a great band.
Yep.
They're a great band.
Look at the Led Zeppelin tribute band, Get the Let Out.
I'll get the let out. Yeah.
They're all over the country.
Okay, the thing with Get the Let Out what I find also interesting is the fact that like they reproduce the records.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the Fab Four who do the Beatles records.
Oh,
Right.
right.
I work with this band Led Zeppelin, which is all girl, right? And they do shows built around famous performances,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Royal Albert Hall, blah blah blah, and it's all about the live performance, and the songs live are very different than the songs you heard on the radio,
Right.
Which is kind of interesting. But to get back to the Guess Who thing, is like and to tribute bands a little bit, is sort of like every day people would when they're coming out, they go, they say, yeah man, it sounded great, it's like this is the way it should be. I go, what do you mean by that? He goes like, well, these guys look and play like the real band. They play all the songs, right? And they play them really well, and the production's really good. And it didn't cost me the kind of money that it would cost me if I wanted to see Queen play that music now where it's the drummer and the guitar player, and they always kind of go, and that guy from Star Search singing, you know,
Right.
and it go, you know,
Adam
it
Lambert.
goes like even shitty seats. If me and my wife go, it's like even for shitty seats, it's $600 for tickets, right? I'm sitting in a shitty part of an arena, right? I got to pay the tolls. I got to pay $40 to park, or my catalytic converter will be gone.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
like in New York City, right? You know, and it's an expensive ordeal. He goes, here I can hear these songs performed as well as the original band for $70 and $70 a ticket,
Right.
right? But on this Burton Cummings thing, suppose all those bands decided to pull the plug on tribute bands.
Right. They,
I get it.
Yeah, it opens a different precedent.
I mean, like Page, he loves this Led Zeppelin band that I did. He saw them in London, and he says they're the only band out there that is true to the spirit of the original band.
Right.
Right. And I had they were kind of like thrilled by that, and I go, you girls are not using that as much as you should. You know, I mean, they and like he lets them use a modified version of the Swan Song logo. He helped them make, give them some tips on how to record guitars. Because they made a couple of records. They made a record with playing all these Zeppelin songs that had with string arrangements as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a really good record. I should send you it. You know, but you know, you begin to think that it's sort of like, you know, the money thing. It's like things are so expensive that they just want to hear this music that means something to them, you know, and they're getting a little like it doesn't really, you know, it's kind of like classical music, you know, you don't care who the players are, you just want the music to be
That's right.
performed,
Yeah,
so you could,
that's exactly it.
And not have to pay $400 for a ticket. Right. I heard that Sammy Hagar is, you know, if you want to be in the first 5 rows, it's $1,800 a ticket.
Jesus.
Yeah,
sorry, man.
Because he's doing that.
Sorry.
He's doing that Van Halen thing.
Van Halen.
Yeah.
The wrong drummer and the wrong guitar player,
right.
In my opinion.
Wrong guitar player, yes. Jason's great.
Yes.
I mean, but again,
he don't play like Alex.
No, I don't know anybody who would.
No.
Right. And the thing is, when you see the pictures, he's got his father's face.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah. I was like, grow the fuck up. You know, it's like
I did see that.
Great. I thought that was Cheese Factor. You know?
Yeah.
What did we just talk about?
I don't know. Alex is done, man. He's done. I've dealt with Van Halen. I've dealt with Van Halen a bunch over my career. I never mixed Van Halen, but I was on the 2004 tour where they were fighting. He was fighting. You know, it was like him and his brother versus Mike and Sammy.
Yeah,
Sammy's a great. Don't get me wrong. You know, he was the band. I was working with this band Silvertide, right?
Yeah,
young band. Last I did, right? And we were doing a van and a trailer, and he was going, man. He goes like, I can't have you guys riding around in a van with a trailer. I'm going to get you a bus. And we're all like, wow. And he goes, all you got to do is pay for fuel.
Oh,
all you got to pay for. Right? That's a great deal.
It is.
What we didn't know was that the bus and trailer were going to be wrapped with Cabo Wabo, you know, hype thing. So every time we went to fuel up or a truck stop or something to grab a snack or something, the two most asked questions were, is Sammy on that bus? And the other one is, do you have free samples? No to both questions.
Right.
But, you know, once again, you know, if it's making people happy, you know, I'm just a cranky old man.
No. I don't know.
I just, you know, there's one man's opinion, you know, of what's going on. And to get back to for the young band thing, Europe.
How about Asia?
Because they like Asia is a lot narrower than you think. You better have a guy who can sing really high. You know, they like that a lot, you know, and they like their performers to look their inside the way we refer to it, Yeah, they like especially they like their singers to look like Christmas trees, all glittery and spangly and
Oh boy,
flashy.
no thanks.
Michael Monroe and
Yeah,
Hanoi
yeah,
Rocks, perfect
right.
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Cheap Trick. I did a project for Sony during like when grunge became big, and they were flabbergasted because they're going, nobody in Japan is going to come and see Pearl Jam and guys who look like street people, right? We need to find bands that have some glamour
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, but the Winery Dogs
so-
crushed it over there. Billy Sheehan's not wearing foil.
What size venues were they playing?
They were playing pretty good venues for what.
Oh,
Like what?
I think like Budokan and what was the other one?
They play Winery Dogs play Budokan? I don't believe it.
I believe it. I believe they did.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all.
And if they did,
sorry, if they did, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so like I did. It's like there's this thing, Summer Sonic, which is a stadium show,
Mhm.
right? That's the show to be on because you're playing to 50, 60,000 people and you get good money and it's one day. They're back to back. You do a show in Osaka. Right after your show, you do 2 hours of press. You get on a plane and you fly to Tokyo to do that same show the next day.
Nice.
Right. So you get to play to like over 100,000 people in 48 hours. Right.
Wow.
It's like
A lot of merch.
Yeah. Lots of merch.
because they're what they like is I remember being over there. I was doing Michael Monroe solo, right, and there was this big consternation because there's a prog thing. And now I'm beginning to think about it that they do like proggy kind of stuff, right? And there was this big, I was doing a TV show with Monroe and Dream Theater was on it.
Yep.
Right? And the record company guys were all freaking out because the guitar player had grown a beard.
Yeah, John
Facial hair
Petrucci.
is not a good thing.
Right.
Facial hair doesn't really fly that well in Japan because they can't really do it,
Right.
And they were, just like, what are we going to do? So just use old pictures. That's what
You're right.
Do,
Yeah.
Audience. Needless to, I went there with Steely Dan. I went there with Ted Nugent. I went there with Aerosmith. I went there with Steelheart. I did New York Dolls. Did all those bands in Japan. I have not been to Japan since that Fukushima reactor thing because a lot of bands don't go there. And there was another thing that went down in the early right after the grunge thing was there was a massive financial crash in Japan, right? And all the record companies decided to switch their focus from Western acts to domestic acts.
Right.
That they would create their own rock and roll kind of thing. Because I got involved with making records with some of these bands, and it was like bizarre genre slicing. They looked like hip hop guys, except the singer looked like Michael Monroe, right?
Nice.
And they played like the music sounded like Talking Heads. I was like, wow, this is fucking weird. It was. I know this band going like, what the? You guys aware of X Japan?
I don't think so.
No.
Woo! You need to see X Japan. There's a great, huge,
Okay.
globally huge, right? Unusual. They too. There's I think it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix. Look up this thing about X Japan. Just put it in. It's the story of that band. That band has had more suicides than any band on the planet Earth.
Oh my God!
Wait, the drummer is a classical pianist as well as a drummer, and he's also like the fucking lead singer. Right? And he's brilliant.
Yeah.
So you should check this out. And early on they looked like an extreme version of Hanoi Rocks, and now they play fucking arenas.
Right.
They do like multiple nights at the Egg Dome, the big dome in Tokyo. They come play here. They played Madison Square Garden here.
They almost look like anime characters.
Yes, very much so.
Yes, you know what? Delilah Crehelli has one of their one of his faces tattooed on her arm
because she got his autograph.
Yeah, and he does like an anime signatures. Yes,
yep.
We have heard of.
I went to see them. They did to them what was a club show. They played like a 5,000 seat venue venue in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a good friend of mine was mixing them, right? And ML Prosize, who said to me, it goes like, I've mixed ZZ Top, I mixed Michael Jackson, I mixed the Jackson 5. He goes, this is like all three bands put together with Emerson Lake and Palmer thrown in, right? And then he goes, check this out. And we went, and the people were lined up because it's a GA, general admission show, not seated. They were lined up since like the night before, and they felt bad for those kids. So they said, where can we get 100 pizzas? Right, because they wanted to give pizza. They wanted to feed everybody pizza on the line. Right. Which I go like, well, this is the way you do it. There's you better call like all these pizza places because one place cannot crank out 100 pies. Right. Because they're boom boom, and they got all this. They sent a bunch of runners out to like 9 different places and kept just pies kept coming in. Don't worry, there's more. But you should check that out. It's so under the radar, that it's like, and the music's good. They sing in Japanese. That's probably why people aren't more aware of them. They signed to Atlantic Records and they wanted to do a record with American lyrics, and they did, and it sucked.
It's like going to see Loudness.
Record companies are gone. Who cares?
Right.
It's like going to see Loudness and trying to do it in English.
Exactly.
What are you gonna do? I mean, it's like I haven't gone to a Taylor Swift show, but I watched the production, and I watched the movie and stuff like that, and it's like, I think she's good, and I think that the fact that she connects with all these people. But it's like I was out with NSYNC. I wasn't doing NSYNC, but I was doing like an actual band opening up for NSYNC,
mm-hmm.
right, in 2000, right, and those guys, I got a lot of respect for those guys because how hard working they are,
mm-hmm.
were, whatever, right, and how talented they were, and how grounded they were because they weren't tucked away in some secret dressing room. You went to catering. You could sit there and Justin Timberlake would sit down next to you, and Joey Fatone would ask how you were doing and all that.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember talking to Joey Fatone one time, and he goes, "You work for all these bands, I go, what do you think about us?" I go, "Hey, listen, it's all about bringing music to people, right?" And I go, "You're playing 3 nights at a 55,000 seat stadium, right? That's big. That's a big. There's 2,000. That's really big."
Right.
And he goes, "Yeah, we realize it's big, but we also realize that we've reached the top of the mountain, and now the only thing left is to go down."
Yeah.
Right? And they were very realistic about it. It goes like, "Listen, we have a really an audience that is let's just say high school and younger,
yeah,
teens to early teens." He goes, "The second they graduate high school, they will deny that they went to see us."
Right.
And then we have to wait 15 years, and then we'll come back.
Right.
Which is, look at new kids on the block. They're doing great business.
Yeah.
Now it's like new men on the block.
New men.
Whatever. Yeah. People happy. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
In a world where happiness is in short supply.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I think.
Before we let you go, I was told to ask you to do an impersonation.
Do an impersonation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you want, Frehley?
That's what I've been told.
That's what we've been told.
I've been told that you were supposed to do an Ace Frehley impersonation.
I don't really want to do it. In fact, I don't think I will do it. But I will tell you this fact that everybody who works for him and has worked for him in all the years I know him, whenever they quote him, they talk in his voice, right? And new guys go, "How do you do that?" I go like, "Well, you just start every sentence like you're a squeaky door. It all starts with, right? And then,
I'm a plumber."
hell no. You know, I don't think so. You know, that kind of shit. You know, it's that's really funny. I'd like to know who. That's got to be Mary.
Nah, I can't say. I can't say. I can't say.
She came. Listen, this is. She came to see us see Frehley play at some casino somewhere up Syracuse or whatever, and I watched her go from being Mary Jo to the high school Mary Jo in a matter of minutes. Yeah. She's, you know, that's the magic, isn't it? That, like, even, you know, I mean, I fall apart seeing some of these bands because it's like I was doing Steely Dan, right, and. Paul McCartney was coming to the show. So his office calls up, blah, blah, blah. I was like Walter and Donald's road manager. So all of this, okay, you're in charge of dealing with Paul McCartney. I'm like, I'm down, no problem, right? And like his office is, you know, sending emails every day. This is the way he likes his margarita and all this. I'm like, wow, right, the king is coming. A Beatle comes to see Steely Dan. That would be great, right? And this is during the height. We're in London, the height of the divorce with the girl he married that had one leg, right? And like I go, oh, this guy's gonna be. I guess he wants a, you know, he needs a break from all this bullshit, right? So I'm and I mean, you know, I meet him at his car, blah blah blah. I ask him, I go, what, you know, you could. I go, listen. These guys have said you can watch from either side of the stage if you don't want to be out in the audience. And I go, let me tell you, they never let anybody do that. That's how much juice you have with them right now. And he goes, no, I'd rather be out in the audience. I go, we can make that happen too. This is how I go. The show starts with the band coming out and playing like a 4-minute, you know, Duke Ellington song. With the house lights down, that's where I'll take you out, put you in the 8th row. And I'll have Pete, you know, you're in a row with, you know, with like Becker's wife, and I'll put a couple other people there so no one bothers you. Okay. And then after, when they come back for an encore, when they're playing that, then I'll come get you while, you know, they're playing Reeling in the Ears or Pressure Logic or, you know, blah, 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 and take you backstage. So I do that, pull him. He wants to be in the audience, that's fine. Bring him backstage. And I go, come on, they're dying to meet you, right? And he goes, no, we have to give them 10 minutes. And I'm like, meanwhile, my radio's going, well, you're bringing him, right? He's here, right? And I'm going like, listen to this, right? And he goes, well, just give. He goes, I know what it's like to come off stage. And I said, I bet you do. You know?
Right.
They're not like these guys, you know, they hate this, you know, and it was when he goes, wearing a New York Dolls shirt, right? And he looked at it and he goes, New York Dolls. I go, yeah, I was their sound engineer in the 70s. And then when they reformed, like in 2004, you know, I was their tour manager, sound engineer. He goes, and he says, great. He goes, do you listen to them at home? I go, yeah, I do. When I want to feel like I did in 1973, you know, when the whole world was opening up for me, I put that record on and it takes me there. He goes, what about Steely Dan? I went, I never listened to Steely Dan at home. And he goes, why? And I go, because most of my experience with Steely Dan is in live performance. And Steely Dan live is way different than the Steely Dan records of 30, 40 years ago. It's way better, right? So It's like, to me, you know, it goes like the music, you know, I expect to hear it the way I hear it at shows. And it's better now and more fun, you know, than it is listening to those records, which are, I guess you'd have to say, and from a modern viewpoint, are like, I don't know, slightly stiff, you know, too perfect. I don't know, you know, it's a, you know, so.
But you talk to the king.
Oh yeah, I'm at all the Beatles, you know, and some. It's like we're doing Steely Dan does Coachella, right? And so I'm in Fagen's dressing room, right, and arguing about something. I don't know, his hatred of the guitar or something like that. And there's a knock on the door, right? I open up, and it's Ringo Starr. He goes, "I'm here to see Donald," and I go, "Ringo." Ringo Starr is here to see you. And he goes, don't fuck with me. Right? And Ringo Starr turns to me and he goes, should I sing the first couple of lines from Yellow Submarine? And I go, no. I go, no, it's really him. He goes, it's really him. I go, it's really him. He goes, well, bring him in, and then off they went to chat about things.
Right.
And it was funny, before I brought him in, I go like, this will be an interesting experience for you. And if you survive, I'll take you to Walter Becker, which is way more fun.
And Ringo said, nah.
At that Coachella, right, the dressing room compounds of Steely Dan and AC/DC were next to each other.
Wow.
Right. And it was interesting because believe it or not, it's like Becker was very aware of a lot of modern music. Donald, not so much, right? Because I remember we were sitting out there, sitting in front of his dressing room compound, and he goes, "Is that AC/DC?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's really loud." I go, "Oh yeah, just wait till they turn the PA on." He goes, "That's just the guitar." I go, "Yeah." My friend Greg, he's one of their amp technicians, and I asked him, I go, "What does he play through on stage?" And Greg says, "Well, Angus doesn't like the sound of his guitar through monitors, so we have 9 heads and 18 cabinets, right?
Jesus.
They're all around the stage, so wherever he goes, he hears what is coming out of his amp."
Right.
And I was going, and after I said, when I told Becker that, and I went, "Oh man, I just shot myself in the foot because now there's going to be cabinets
everywhere."
Oh yeah, and that's what happened. We had a 100-watt high watt stack. I mean, he was into all kind of tones and stuff. Like we were in Chicago, and he was like, he kept watching the Who live at Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
Right. And he called me like at 3:00 in the morning. He goes, "You got to come over here right now and listen to this." I go, "Oh, okay." So I go over there. I go, "Oh, Who at Isle of Wight? It's high watts and an SG." He goes, "I want a high watt 100-watt stack. Can we get one tomorrow?" We're in Chicago. "Yeah, I can get that tomorrow." Right. So we got this one. It would be tucked in the corner of the backstage. Right. And Reeling in the Years is usually the last song of the set. Right. So at the same time, there would be like, stagehands starting to coagulate on the edges of the stage, not realizing there was this 100-watt amp that was cranked the fuck up, and boy, they were just fucking, they hit that first, what the fuck was that? Because they were very quiet on stage.
Right.
Becker's amps were on a wing on stage, right? They were laying on their back facing up, so it didn't fuck up the front of house mix, and it didn't leak to the band. It was still stage, very, very quiet. These jazz guys up there, nobody plays loud.
Right.
So it was kind of fun.
That's cool.
So Ace Frehley does that a lot too.
But you're not going to do it.
No.
I do little bits of it. I just can't do it. I just, because it'll wind up on TikTok. The whole fucking globe will see it, right? And they'll go, "Ooh, you're making fun of." I wasn't making fun of you. I was making fun of Gene, yeah, but not you so much. That's the way you say it.
Hey, all I know is I saw a short little reel of Ace saying, "Why is the light on him, not on me?" So, everybody leaks something.
Oh, you mean what, that
spotlight.
drum thing?
Yeah.
The drummer who stopped the song?
Yeah.
For the spotlight.
For the spotlight.
They're like, that's so LA bar band, "I'm singing the song, the light should be on me." So now we print up set list that said in big letters says, "Light the fucking drummer." All the lights in the world on, because I'll tell them, I go, "You got moving lights? When this guy sings this song, burn him."
Yeah, turn off the LED and turn on the old-fashioned Potts lights.
Some old school park hands.
That's right.
Yep. Smoke or something, It's like
spontaneous combustion, like Spinal Tap.
Well, there's still some fun to be had, even though it's like, I don't know. I mean, I personally am driving into the sunset.
Not before you do one tour with her. With our friend. Not before you do one tour with our friend.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to try and make that happen. That would be really good fun. And they're probably at the end of it, I'll go, you're a pain in the ass. I don't think I want to do this.
I'm not touching that
Nah,
one.
not really. No. I know her a long time.
Yep.
And
Well, you're all
but
good.
it's just that kind of thing that sometimes it's sort of like, because touring brings out the, well, see, but like I'd have to find the right kind of gig where it was like, get her into a weekend thing where we just go out and do weekends because they're, I like it.
Yeah.
It's like I work every Friday and Saturday pretty much. I got three, and I bring in other people to do it. Like when I have gigs, like I'm hoping to do Alejandro Escovedo opening for Jason Isbell in September.
Nice.
Cool.
Right? I was asked, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Right. And because he's an old pal, right? And like a year or two ago, I finally got a chance to mix a couple of shows for him.
Mm-hmm.
And now I always mix him when he comes to New York. But he asked me, would you go out and do this? I said, fuck yeah, I'll go out and do that. Because that's like, to me, that's like magic stuff.
Yep.
It's a different audience. And I was kind of curious to see what it's like in the successful pop country artists.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, we look forward to following that tour that you'll be on. So keep us in the loop.
I don't think it goes up near you, but I'll be up near you with Frehley. Come on by.
Yes, definitely.
Come on by and check that out. Maybe the girls will go up. Actually, I'm doing a Led Zeppelin thing right after a Frehley show up in that neighborhood. I forget exactly where. I play like Syracuse, and then it's like half-hour drive to another city, and we're gonna do a show with the all-girl Zeppelin thing.
Send me a message.
I got your email. I'm gonna Dropbox you that record with the strings.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear it. So
it's a lot of good fun, and you should hear. Are you hip to Alejandro Escovedo?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's magic too, and I know him. I met him when he was in the Nuns, like in 1978. I was in San Francisco after leaving Aerosmith the first time. Well, they're for real.
Right.
Quitting is one thing. This one is like, I've had enough.
No more blah blah blah.
Nope.
All the blah 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 in the world couldn't get him to come back.
Listen. See, the thing is, it's like I'm going in my career, right? I go Emerson Lake Palmer. It was great. Learned a lot. Go from Emerson. No, actually, I went to the Stooges first, and it's like that's the ultimate crash and burn band, right? And my first day on the job, I was backline guy, right? We're playing this gig, right? He breaks his mic stand, and this mic stand bass goes like this, right past my ear, right? And I was like, this is warfare, right? So it's like there are pictures of me kind of hiding out so I don't get hit by anything, right? I go from Stooges to Emerson Lake and Palmer to the New York Dolls to Aerosmith. And as I was going, all these American bands do is just like crash and burn, I mean, is it always like this? And like Aerosmith got really successful, and then it was like the plane was like starting to sputter, and I was like, oh no, not again. So I had to leave, right? And in his book, Tyler says, Bob had to leave to save his sanity. And I was like, that is kind of true in a way, because now I'm going to have to text it.
How many
people? Just talk shit about you on a podcast.
Yeah, well, send him the link. Maybe he can like the show. Steven, if you're listening to this,
I doubt it.
Well, he's don't ruin this for me.
Well, okay, but let's just talk about singers blowing their voices out.
Yeah,
right?
no, Jesus, no.
Right? I mean, it's like I listened to him sing with the Black Crowes, and I'm like, yeah, you'll be all right. Now, John Bon Jovi, on the other hand, is in trouble.
Yeah. That's too bad.
He had a good career.
Exactly.
You know, like athletes, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's sort of like at one point you just can't do it anymore.
Right. Exactly.
I can think of one singer that should just hang it the hell up.
Don't start.
I'm just saying.
Don't start.
I know one singer that should just absolutely hang it up.
Here it comes.
Don Dokken.
Jesus, you're an idiot.
Oh yeah, well, the less said, the better, I guess.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, it's. Let's use the thing of like athletes. I mean, at one point your pitching arm gives out.
Yeah.
And you just, or like, I mean, like you don't see 40-year-old tennis players.
No.
Right. No. You don't see 50-year-old, baseball players.
Right.
Or any of those sports guys. And I had a guy, a very old school production manager, who said, like, he goes, rock and roll musicians are kind of like racehorses. They do one thing really well, and you have to kind of like, you have to wipe them down, talk nice to them,
right?
Yeah,
this kind of
couple
stuff.
sugar cubes.
Order for them to go spend their 5 minutes running around the fucking track at the top of their, abilities, right?
Right.
And then they, at one point they get too old and they go out to stud farms. I go like, gee, maybe that could happen to band members that, they wear themselves out and then, maybe they're so worn out they can't be studs anymore.
Right.
They've had, I don't know, I mean, like the whole groupie thing has vanished.
Oh,
right?
God, yes.
Like the audience, they talk about cultural change, It's like
Right.
everybody's so concerned these days. It used to be that all the people in bands and people who work for bands, they all looked unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Guilty as charged, right? And but now everybody looks the same. I go to these shows and it's like Minions,
Yep.
like all these guys dressed in black with black shorts and black sneakers and like some kind of chin piece or something. It looks like a handle coming out of their chin.
Yeah.
I was going like, what the fuck is this? Everybody looks like a miniature version of Kerry King.
Yeah,
And
right.
so, no, you can't tell. Well, I flew to Japan with Slipknot.
Right.
It was like 25 people all wearing Slipknot shirts, right? It's a long flight to Japan, right? So at one point you wind up hanging out like, by the galley, right? And I was like going, what do you do? I'm the band's official photographer. That's a good gig, I guess. What do you do? I take care of the masks. I was like, that's important. Do they smell? Do those masks get really smelly? And the guy gave me a really interesting look, right? He goes, I take care of their wardrobe. I'm like, okay. I know who mixes front of house, right? I go, what do you do? He goes, I'm the singer. It was like, so this is, really? I actually went, really? I go, I don't know. I said, I've never seen, every picture I've ever seen of Slipknot, you were all dressed in the look,
Yeah.
And, it was just funny. It's the same. We're playing that Summer Sonic thing, right? And I had worked with the Cult on their electric record, right? I provided some amps for them because Rick Rubin was doing it. He's an old pal, and he called me up and he goes, "These amps they're not so good. Can you bring me some amps?" So I brought him some amps, right? So every time they see me, they go, "Look, it's the New York amp guy," and I'm like, "Well, come on, that was a one-off kind of thing." And so I'm sitting in catering there, right? And with with Ian and Billy, and they're going, "So how's the amp business?" And I'm like, "Oh, you guys," going, "Who'd you bring amps for?" I go, "For nobody." I said, "I'm the tour manager front of house guy for this band, right?" So the singer from Slipknot comes up and sits down, and they go, "Who are you?" And I go, "It's a singer from Slipknot," and they went, "Prove it." Right? And I was like, it's too ridiculous.
See?
Yep.
We could do 5 more episodes of this show.
I know.
You cut them up. You cut them up. I'll come back. I mean,
cool.
You could just, you could make a serious one. Now that I see to do the layout more. I mean, like that's why I was saying, where do you want to go? I know we covered a bunch of stuff that may not be for what your demographic is.
Oh, it's all every bit of it has been. Every bit of it has been.
If there's some serious stuff, there's some silly stuff. I mean, I could do an hour on torturing bands.
Good.
Right.
Okay, we'll look forward to that.
Well, no. See, the thing is, back in the day when they used to feed you on planes, right now you get a little tiny bag of you get a pretzels or some rotten, like chip, like healthy chip cookies.
Yeah,
yeah.
It tastes like dirt. But back in the day, like you get a band member who pissed you off. The first thing
Kosher meal.
the next. Oh, kosher, salt-free.
Yeah.
Salt-free meal
Salt-free.
is even worse, right? And they can't change it, right? They say, I didn't order this, right? And they're going like, well, it's on it's on our thing. This is what you get. I need something else. And I go, there is nothing else.
Right.
This is what you're getting.
So
If you're on like a 7-hour flight, you get very angry.
Yeah, you're gonna eat codfish with no flavor.
Well, I've changed I've done some terrible things. I've kind of stopped doing that kind of stuff because, like he would say, you got to keep your eyes on me at all times. So we all went out and got mirrored sunglasses, so we couldn't tell if we were that's not funny. Right? And,
Oh, yes, it is.
that's one. We'll end this on a Steven Tyler thing.
Okay.
Because he's if he ever hears this,
Because he won't like it.
he had a problem with the third verse of Walk This Way, that he would blank on it. So it started, we would put the third verse of Walk This Way on a piece of paper, 8x10 piece of paper. It'd be one by his mic stand, one on his monitor, and one on each side, Phil, in case he was over there. So we would do it, right? If he and I had an altercation, I would change one word because there was black Sharpie on a white piece of paper, a white piece of tape, insert new word here, right? He'd be going, that's not right. He goes, who's responsible for this? I'd be going, I did it, me, okay? This went on and on for 2 years, right? Where that little piece of paper eventually turned into a 4x8 piece of Marley with all kind of lyrics and things like that. And now with modern technology, there's someone talking into his in-ear mix, and prompting him on things like that. Do you know that some of these guys, I'm not going to mention it, that there are people who talk to them through their monitors during the show. So because he would go to me, he goes, we used to have an intercom between the drum riser and front of house, so he could talk to me during the show, during the Joe Perry guitar solo. He goes, how do I sound? I'd go, you sound like shit. And you'd see him take the phone and smash it, right? And then I go, oh, this ought to be a good meeting in the dressing room.
Yeah, right?
So, man, I go, you asked me a question, I told you the truth. Right? What more can you ask? I go, if you can't accept the truth, don't
ask the question. Right.
I can see the headline now. Bob gets fired again.
Oh, well, I'm not going back. Getting me to go back to Aerosmith is like getting me to go back to high school.
Right. Didn't like it when I was there.
Let me tell you, I learned a lot from Aerosmith. Right. A lot of what to do, what not to do. Right. It was like the ultimate rock and roll training program.
Right.
Because everything that could go wrong went wrong. Everything that went great, was great. 1976 was one of the best years of my life. Right. And that was the whole rocks period with them.
Yeah.
Right. So, there's very few bands I wish ill will to, if I worked for them. Some were way more difficult than others. Limp Bizkit was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They were also busted, they were breaking. They were selling like 200,000 records a week. Right. And the guitar player says to me, he goes like, so we're selling $200,000 a week. I went, that's what I heard. And he goes, I don't get enough money to pay my rent. I go, well, the thing is that you won't see that money for another year and a half, 2 years. He goes, where's it going? I go, it's going back to the record company because they're paying for all this tour support thing, which now doesn't exist anymore, right. Which hampers the development of bands. I mean, right. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, think about it. People think of rock bands as being a bad investment these days. Rock is dead. I've heard that since 1959.
Yeah. Yep.
Kids will always want some kind of music that annoys their parents.
Exactly.
And speaking of parents, I had a parent come to me and he goes, you got to help me. I go, what's the matter? Your kids listening to Slayer? He goes, no, they're listening to hip hop. I wish they were listening to Slayer.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like, because kids like to play music that drives parents nuts. I didn't play music that my parents would enjoy.
Right.
None of us did.
Stuff, you know, and they're like, what the hell is this? Why can't you listen to those Beatles? They're really nice, because nice is not what I'm looking for.
That's right.
Right.
I was fortunate. My mother liked all the same stuff that I did.
Yeah,
she still does.
Not me.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
You know, it made you the person you are today.
That's right. Smart ass.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
Bob, thank you so much. We want
No
it.
problem.
I'm going to reach out.
If you need to repair anything, or if you want to insert something to make it better,
No.
I'm here for you.
Oh God, no.
No, this is going just the way it is, and we're going to have you back, and we're going to do.
Yep.
That's what they always say.
No.
They go, oh, this is really great.
No.
No.
This is just as much.
Wait. See, here's the thing. There's this book written by that's called "If We Build the Stage, We Can Play." Right? It's this guy Danny, who writes for the French magazine Rock and Folk. He's obsessed with New York City, right?
Right.
And there's 4 volumes of this book, starting with say early 72 to I don't know to 2000, right? And you can get it on Amazon, 1999, right? And I did an interview with him, two separate interviews, 4 years apart. Writing books is really hard work. People say, you should write a book. And I go, no, I'd rather make a movie. It'd be faster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you make more money because you don't make any money out of books.
Right.
Right. And I did a whole chapter. Right. But I was kind of going oh, I can't wait to see, how this one turned out. And what he had done was he had decided to just print the interviews the way they, not edit anything.
Right.
So as you can see, you jump around. I can jump around on topics. I like to jump around on topics.
Yeah, it's fine.
Kind of, bits and pieces to take, to make into something else, right? And when I read my chapter, I was going I sound like a fucking guy on Adderall or something. Changing the subject, doing all this kind of shit. He got me to say that. Where was punk rock created? I go, certainly wasn't created in England. I said it was the English thing is to take American music and make it their own and become very successful about it.
Yeah.
Ask the fucking right.
Yeah.
Ask the Sex Pistols, right?
Ask Ross Friedman.
Yeah. Right. And then I shouldn't tell you. I won't tell you that for the next time.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah.
Very much enjoyable. Next time I'll bring some pictures.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I'll send you some. You got a screen you can put up where it says good, bad, and ugly?
I can put it right in. Like if you send something, I can put it right now, right behind us, in front of us, down here. I can.
Right. Doesn't matter where.
I'll put up a photo, and every picture tells us. We could do it. Every picture tells a story show.
There you go. I like that.
Yep.
I'm curious. It'd be an interesting concept. Like you say, oh yeah, that's just before I got, the mic stand flew by my head. Like,
right.
Oh yeah, that. Oh that.
That one.
Oh that. That's when the stage collapsed in the RFK Stadium during load-in, right? And it looked like a sinkhole, right? Because we pushed all the back line. I don't have a picture of it, but a friend of mine does. Right, they put Aerosmith's backline, the stage buckled, and it just went like a sinkhole. Right,
wow.
Everybody was, and a bunch of crew guys went down with the ship too. Right, and it was just like he goes, we were standing there for a minute, and then when I was just standing on the top of a pile of anvil cases of speaker cabinets because someone didn't put a bolt in. I was on a plane flying to. To Columbus, Ohio. The plane was so old they had ashtrays in the seats.
Nice. I love that.
Think about that. And then I went and I go, well, at least the door's not going to blow up.
Yeah, right.
And all these people turned around and looked at me like, what do you know that we don't know?
Right.
So
well,
I traveled.
Anyways,
hey guys, it's
dude,
been fun.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man.
Stick around for a second. We're going to roll out with our credits, and we'll be right back.
All right, sounds good.
You've been listening to The Good,
The Band.
The Ugly, I'm Big Papa,
And I'm Jeff.
and that is Nite Bob. We want to thank our sponsors today, DJ Life's the Beach,
Good Nature Brewery,
Uncle Jimmy's Local Music,
The Print Shop Underground,
Snarky Productions,
Toffee Break Coffee, and
Hogwash, Motorcycle
And
Detailing, and not forget,
Ultimate
Ears. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around. We've got all kinds of good stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. And stay tuned for the next time the Nite Bob's on, talking Every Picture Tells a Story.
yes,
Remember what we always say,
be good to each other.
don't be a dick. Peace.
Don't be a dick.
Exactly.
Cool. No, it's true, man. Come on, we're all in this together. You know, it's like we live in really
Fade this
weird
out.
times.